Pau Gasol's jersey number gets retired by the Lakers. Lincoln Riley is talking up the USC defense, and UCLA basketball will be down a starter for the Pac-12 tourney. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. It is March 8th, 2023. I am still stuck in Portland, Oregon. It's kind of crazy. Here's Portland losing its last couple of Walmarts. How trash is your city becoming if even Walmart is like, you people are too ghetto for us. We're getting the hell out while we still can. Let's talk something a little more optimistic. Let's talk LA sports. If you like the content we put out, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Eventually, there will be sunshine up here. So, before we go through the news and notes, look at the scoreboard. Yesterday, Anthony Davis scored 30 points, but even more impressively grabbed 22 rebounds as the Lakers knocked out Memphis 112-103. The Lakers have fought all the way up to 9th place in the Western Conference. They would be in the play-in tournament if it started today. And by the way, they are just 2 games out of the 6th spot in the Western Conference, which means they would be qualified for the playoffs and have to avoid the play-in tournament altogether. Meanwhile, Toronto is playing the Clippers today at 7 p.m. So, jumping back to the Lakers, I want to start off by congratulating Shannon Sharpe for not trying to fight the entire Memphis roster this time. Slow clap, well done. Maturity comes in baby steps. I can appreciate it. And by that same token, I also want to congratulate Ja Morant for not shooting anybody at Crypto.com Arena. I mean, did you notice how many empty seats there were at the start of the game? It's kind of like people were sitting there kind of second guessing whether they should use their ticket or not. They're retiring Pau Gasol's jersey, but do we really want to face shrapnel? So there was that. Now, Pau Gasol's jersey was retired last night, and the following is not meant to be a hot take. It's not meant to create controversy where none is there. You can totally disagree with me about what I'm about to say. As much as I loved watching Pau Gasol play, I don't think he deserves his number in the rafters. I don't. He is not a franchise all-time great. Basically, the dude opened up the triangle offense again for Kobe Bryant because his intellect in terms of basketball capabilities was smart. They ran a lot of give and goes out of the triangle. You had to basically add defense to defend a big in Pau Gasol, which opened up lanes for Kobe to create. Now, Gasol does have 2 titles, but truly great Lakers get more than 2. There's a lot of Lakers out there with more than 2 titles who, frankly, they're not necessarily deserving of the getting their number retired either. Ask yourself, who could be having their number retired instead of Pau Gasol? Michael Cooper. That's an all-time Laker great. AC Green is an all-time Laker great. Pau Gasol, to me, you know what Pau Gasol really was? He was a terrific big, but the Lakers were known for big men. Is Pau Gasol as good as Shaq? No. Is Pau Gasol as good as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Wilt Chamberlain? No. You could even argue George Mikan, in terms of the era of the sport, had more impact on the NBA than Pau Gasol. So I just don't see where Pau Gasol, frankly, was there. I mean, who had the deeper impact? Derek Fisher had a longer, deeper impact in LA. Nobody's talking about retiring his number. Like I mentioned, AC Green, Michael Cooper. Did you know that Pau Gasol only averaged 17 points per game while he was a Laker? That is not elite, especially not for a big man. And Gasol knows To his credit, I will say, Gasol knows that he wouldn't be where he is without Kobe Bryant. So I appreciate the humility. I loved watching him play. I don't think he deserved his getting his number retired. If you say I'm wrong, I'll respect it. Just saying. The Lakers rewarded LeBron James with a diamond pendant for passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the NBA's all-time scoring champ, which was nice. I can also tell you that Anthony Davis gave respect to Dennis Schroeder for playing through his ankle injury. Keep in mind, Schroeder has been the starting guard because without LeBron James, without D'Angelo Russell, Schroeder is their only playmaker. Their only the only person who knows how to run the offense and facilitate. Now, if you remember, Schroeder said he felt like he basically didn't live up to the standards that he wanted to live with when he was a Laker the first time. So he wanted to make up for it now. And I think all things being equal, I think he's paying back that debt. Oh, by the way, I mentioned Laker legends. Speaking of Laker legends, Michael Cooper, also a former WNBA coach with the Sparks. He now coaches boys basketball over at Culver City High. Culver City faced Bona on Tuesday night. The winner of that game would get a trip to the CIF Division III final up in Sacramento. Lincoln Riley spoke with the press after the first spring practice. He said he expects, quote, an extremely high-level defense, unquote, soon. He's basing a lot of that on the linebackers. He thinks Mason Cobb is establishing himself as a team leader and that there is going to be a real competition now for playing time at linebacker, especially when you consider that Eric Gentry is missing spring ball due to an injury. There has even been scuttlebutt of possibly moving to Eric Gentry to defensive end to try to generate more of a pass rush. Also, he is okay with he is not okay, I should say, not okay with the depth on offensive line. He mentioned that top quarterback recruit Malachi Nelson is throwing again. He had shoulder surgery in December, so now he's been able to throw, but apparently it's not as accurate as Riley would like. Riley likened it to a professional golfer being thrown into like the Masters without having warmed up. Also, he is lauding the defensive backs for hitting the weight room to try and play up some of these bigger wide receivers in the Pac-12. UCLA basketball coach Mick Cronin on injured starter Jalen Clark. Cronin said that Clark has, quote, a lower leg injury. That is all I am authorized to say. How very cloak and dagger of you, coach. And why are you only authorized to say that much? You're the leader of the program. I mean, what are we talking about here? Is your wife telling you what you can and can't say, just like mine? I'm just saying. Now, Clark is not even going to make the trip to Las Vegas for the Pac-12 tournament. Cronin, for his part, does not know when they'll have another update on Jalen Clark. Cronin mentioned freshman Mac Etienne might get more playing time as a result. Etienne, though, has only played 6 minutes per game and averages only 1 point per game. Having said that, there's other possibilities. Dylan Andrews is a possibility, as is Will McClendon. But it's going to be difficult to replace Clark. Of course, you see the scoring from Jaime Jaquez Jr., you see the leadership at the point from Tiger Campbell. Clark averages 2.6 steals per game. And he can guard guards, forwards, and centers. So extremely versatile on the defensive end. It's not going to be easy to replace him. Meanwhile, we still don't know when the Bruins football team will hold spring practice. For that matter, we don't know anything about when the spring game will be held or where it will be held. We don't even know if the public is going to be allowed to take a peek. The only thing we know about the UCLA football team is what their biggest question is. Who is going to replace quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson? We have discussed recruit Dante Moore, the number 2 recruit in the nation who switched his allegiance from Oregon to UCLA. He's coming in from Detroit. But don't forget, Kent State lost their quarterback. Colin Schlee transferred into UCLA. And he may not have the ceiling that Dante Moore has. But you could easily argue that he's more ready to go under center for a major college program. We have some info from the Combine about UCLA. Cincinnati apparently has been holding conversations with running back Zach Charbonnet. I don't know how much stock to put into the story, to be honest with you, because the Bengals already have an all-down back in Joe Mixon. I don't look at Charbonnet as a backup. I look at him as a starter. You tell me if you think you can see him lining up behind Joe Burrow next year. Baseball America ranks the Dodgers farm system as number 3 in Major League Baseball. They say Baltimore and Arizona have better farm systems. Look, we've been discussing the prospects for the Dodgers repeatedly during the offseason, but I just wanted to give you this idea of where the Dodgers stand and why at some point, like now, they have to actually tap into that farm system to replace players as they leave, such as shortstop. Andrew Friedman thinks Walker Buehler could return this year. Buehler, though, I'm skeptical of the idea of Buehler pitching this year. Buehler has had 2 Tommy John surgeries, the last one coming in June of last year. The recovery time for the first Tommy John surgery is about 18 months. Do you really anticipate a second Tommy John surgery would have a shorter recovery time? I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Color me skeptical. And oh, by the way, if you recall Dustin May came back last year after having Tommy John surgery. The first few times that guy was on the mound, it was extremely inconsistent. May would tell you that. So would you really want to have Walker Buehler on the mound in October as a comeback story? Don't think that's a good idea. Chris Taylor's performance was god-awful last year. He struck out 160 times in 118 games played. The man struck out more than a third of the time. Only Joey Gallo struck out in terms of percentage. Only Gallo struck out more in terms of percentage than Chris Taylor. Now, Dodger coaches said that Taylor had such a high maintenance approach last year that everything eventually got into his head and completely ruined his swing. So far this year, Taylor is only 3 for 16 in spring training, but the coaches are saying that there is now consistency in Taylor's swing. In other words, it's not all in his head anymore, and that, quote, it's just a matter of time before he starts hammering balls, unquote. I wish they used a different phrase other than hammering balls, by the way. You're right. After the NHL trade deadline, the national press, they just don't seem to have a lot of faith in the LA Kings, despite the Kings being in the race for the Pacific Division title. The Athletic called them, quote, a solid team built on depth. The question is whether the top end of the roster can hang with other teams, unquote. Honestly, I think that's a fair critique. If you recall last year, the Kings gave the Edmonton Oilers all they could handle until Game 7, when the top line of the Oilers, led by Connor McDavid, basically just took over and ran off with that playoff series. Who is next to go for the LA Rams? Is it Jalen Ramsey? Is it Allen Robinson? You would be wrong. It's probably kicker Matt Gay. LA will not use the franchise tag or the transition tag on Gay, so he's going to be a free agent and he's going to be in demand. He is really accurate. The last 2 years, Matt Gay kicked 60 of 64 field goal attempts. That is a really high percentage of makes. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Am I wrong about Pau Gasol? Do you have any faith that the USC defense is going to be an improvement this year? And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.